Hello, I'm back. And where were we at with the thing yesterday? I think I had the fueling. I was doing the fueling. So I can fly around, I can collect the letters up, and they have to be in the right order. Otherwise, you crash. And there's a safe zone in the score, which is a technical design thing. And I reduced the size of the off-screen part. Which is also became part of the gameplay. And I think the next thing I need to do is to, well, do I think about scoring or I start doing the shooting? I thought, let's do the shooting. So I need bullets. I mean, you can't have a video game without bullets. There's a storm happening outside. All right, so how am I going to do my bullets? Well, I could have a bullet as a single pixel, and that is going to be probably not that visible. I remember using 2 by 2 pixels, which has the disadvantage that they'll be a little bit off center. You can go to 3 by 3, but they become huge. So it's a little bit of a compromise. I think 1 is a bit small, but we could try. Is that 2, 1? No, we'll go by the 2 by 2, like I did in the original. So in order to do that, I need to be able to plot a 2 by 2 sprite, but the pattern in the sprite is fixed. It's the same drawn on one line as on the second line, and a table will do the trick as far as rotation goes, because it's not, memory is not an issue for this. So what I will do is start with the shot, bit, not to call it shot, bits. I want to spend longer than that thinking about it. The shot bits, and they're going to be starting with a rotation of 0. It needs to be the most significant bits first and 2 bits set. So are we all learning our hexadecimal? I want 11000000. So the top one is 1100 and 1100 is C, or 12. And then from there we are going to divide by 2 every time. That's shifting the pixels over, which becomes 6, and then 60, and then 30, and then, was that right? C0, 60, 30. I feel like I've missed one. Oh no, because I've missed one. What's going on? C0. Oh, well, I've got a brain stall. Why? How does it expect 4? I'm having to draw it. 1100, that's C0. Then 0110, that's 60, and then 0011, which is 30. But yeah, that's it. I don't know why I think there would need to be 4. 6. Yeah, that's right, that's right. The next one is going to be 1 bit in the top and 1 bit in the bottom, so that's 1, 8. And then after that we're back to C0, no, 0C, dollar, 06, dollar, 03. There's something troubling me here. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There should be 8. Surely. Oh. Don't know why that's confusing me. Zero one one zero 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 00110000. I'm writing them all out. 0011000000110000. If you ever wondered why game developers sometimes seem to be a little bit nuts, this would be why. 00000000000011. So those are 2 pixels lit up and scrolled across a byte. What am I missing? One, two, three, four, five, 6, because I only get 7 rather than 8. I'm always thinking I need to be able to scroll 8 places. Well, you see, the first one of those numbers, that C0, is for the bit. This is for, I'll just have to make sure that it works as I move it through. Start off with that one for a location of 0, and then x coordinate of 0. X coordinate of 1 would be this one. X coordinate of 2, x coordinate 3, 4, 5, 6. So at the x coordinate of 6, I have, right, so it's like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have that. What do I do if I need to go one more? Because I need to do 7. Seven would, oh, yeah. What I'm getting confused by is I was thinking of the sprite where I have 8 bits and I shift them out, shift them to the right, and then of course the bits that spill over have to spill over into the next byte. Now I'm doing a sprite that is only 2 pixels wide. It's a different game. So the problem, what I was intending to do was have one, yeah. The problem with a sprite of 2 pixels wide is that there will be one point where I have to write 2 bytes, even for that one tiny sprite, because 1 pixel is in 1 byte and the other pixel's in the other byte. So either I write a pair of bytes all the time, which seems like a bit of a waste, or I do a kind of exception if it's on the now I'm thinking about how I can make that optimal for plotting the shot. Could I use it for something else as well? Because I would get a sprite. It's basically a 2-line high sprite. I could just use the sprite engine. That seems like a waste when I can make a custom one. I could just do 1 pixel. If I do 1 pixel, then it's even easier, right? It's just totally straightforward. Not sure. I have to make a call. Well, I think I'm going to just hardwire it. So this table is fine for all cases except the case where it scrolls one more, and at that point I get $01. And what I'll have to do is detect that one, and I will deal with that as a special case to draw the second pixel, so that I end up with a 2 pixel wide thing. Let's try that. So my pixel drawing routine, my shot drawing routine, where shall I put it? Oh man. And I'll be using the similar things to the sprite drawing routine. I could, just to keep life a little simpler, make a custom 2 pixel high sprite. So why not? I'll do that. And that has the advantage that I could possibly, for Letteroids 2, I can probably use that in a creative way. I could even use it for an explosion. Oh, I could make it when the ship blows up. You get 2 pixel high sprites that go. That would be pretty cool. So I think what I will do is the simplest solution is to keep everything just as it is, except that I make some custom shorter versions of these sprite routines. So, and I also don't need to, okay, I'll start here. Well, the sprite address routine remains the same. I think. Yeah, we'll leave the sprite address routine the same. We don't need to put this in a buffer because there's no cost. There's nothing to really be saved because I'm not rotating a whole bunch of bits. So how to approach this? All right. I think I will start here, and all I want to do is 2 rows. Yeah, okay, I've decided. So what I'm going to do is 2 rows. So the first row, yeah, because I also need collision detection, probably. And so if I keep that amount of the sprite blit routine, then I'm drawing 2 lines. So and I need to rename it. So this is buffer XOR with screen. I'm going to do shot XOR with screen. From to collision count, everything else. Well, I don't need a sprite instance. That's not necessary because, well, unless I. No, okay, I'm going to leave it in so then I have the facility to make more fancy shots later. Hi there, cat video. Meow, how you doing? New person. New person, everybody. Well, he's the only one here, but oh no, it says here 2 people, but that's always wrong. You can't trust what that thing says. My word. I'm going to make it as a 2 pixel high sprite. I've got a bad feeling about that for some reason, but I'm going to go ahead with it anyway. And so there, do the first byte. Here's the second byte. It does it from a buffer that contains, well, I keep changing my mind on how I'm going to do it. We do the sprite instance, and you know, actually I've changed my mind again. What I'm going to do is do it directly with this routine where the sprite instance isn't the sprite instance but is the that's where the memory goes. Yes, okay, this is, because I'm going to define inside 2 is the address in memory. This is the bits, the shift. Bits, which is, so that's 0, so a value of 0 to 7. I'll just put the shift 0 to 7, right? And I have that instead of the sprite data. Then this I load y equals 0. I've 2 is the address where it's going to modify the screen. I load the screen byte into the accumulator. I XOR it with the data from, but we don't need from anymore. Well, I can keep it actually, but it doesn't need to be X. Oh, but handily it can be. It's the shift from 0 to 7. So in fact, actually, I keep that the same. That's funny how that worked out. So I take the bit from byte from the table that I just made before, and it's going to do an exclusive OR with the screen. And there's a collision check. I'm going to take the collision check out for now. I can always put it back later. Then increment Y, and then we do the same thing, but for X. But I do need to change these numbers here because it's, this 256 is wrong. I mean, that table is constructed as, is going to be constructed as 8 bytes and then followed by 8 bytes. So I'm doing, with the first bytes, it's just from, comma X. The second one is 8 plus, plus 0, comma X. This is plus 8, comma X. I think that works, actually. That will work. But I will need to modify my table to use 2 bytes. And it will pull them off and do the exclusive or the thing in the screen. I'm removing the collision detection for now. Okay, well, that's kind of a lot simpler, right? And I don't need to do any clever stuff with putting it into some pre-preparation buffer, whatever. I'm just going to do it straight. So what I need is to calculate the address using the address routine, and then mask off the bottom 3 bits of the x coordinate of the shot, and I feed that in and it will just do it. And this table then, the shot bits, becomes the following, which solves the problem that was getting me confused at the start. I need a 16-byte table, and it goes C060330 180C060301 with the second byte, byte that we draw 0000. Look, this feels like a bit of a waste, but these are all zeros, right? And then at the end 80. So this is the case where I have to put 1 pixel per byte. And there we are with our shot bits. So okay, and then how are we going to build this? I need to first test it. So to test this, I go to my good old initialization part before the main loop, and I will just try a manual test first of all. So I'm going to do in the sprite. Well, I'll tell you what, actually. You can do a manual test, completely manual one. We do load the accumulator with 0, store the accumulator at some address. I'm going to just make it up for now. It's like E0 will do. That will be the low byte of the address that we're going to write this test to. The high byte is going to be 80. So this is going to be the top left byte on the screen. I'm going to store that into $E1, and then I should be able to use my new routine I just made, whatever I called it, shot XOR with screen. Let's split my screen so I can keep an eye on that. So we need to do the macro shot XOR with screen with from. I don't even use from anymore, so there's no from. 2 is wherever in 0 page memory I stored the address that we're going to go to. The collision count I'm not using right now either. So all I need to do is to put into X the rotation that we're interested in. So we'll do load X immediate 0, and just so there's minimal excitement, I'll do a halt exactly there. Let's see. Okay, right, well, I did quite a lot of editing. So label must be right, error on 1057. I think as a stray space entered into the thing, and we're going to do value not defined on line 335. Oh, I made a mistake with that. Oh no, I do need the from, because I have that little bit mask that I'm reading from. Right. Of course. So that is comma the shot bits. XOR, shot XOR with screeny or shot bit. Right, let's try that. Oh, that worked. Okay, it's... Ooh, that's a weird... Oh, no, it's not weird. It actually drew everything on the... because I put my thing afterwards, after it's set up. But the problem is the halt instruction has actually obliterated my test. So let's move this down. It's 256, which is one of those. If I do 2, it'll come down. I don't know how many pixels, probably 16. There we go. That is 2 pixels what are lit up. And if I put 1 in here, it should be shifted over by 1 pixel, which it is. And if I put 2 in here, it's shifted over by 2 pixels. Three pixels. Let's just test 7 pixels because that's the one that it spills over into the next byte. That actually looks like it worked fine. Okay. Now my shot XOR with screen, I wanted it to be a 2 by 2 sprite. Well, in fact, it's going to be a 8 by 2 sprite because I'm using bytes here. So I suppose I should put another pair in here, which I'm going to make the same because, but then I can have little patterns in there that might be useful later. So, but I do need to modify my shot XOR with screen function because I need to do 4 bytes. So, oh, right. So at this point, I have to do a transfer Y to A, clear carry, add with carry, immediate 31, transfer A to Y. So I've added 31 onto the Y register, which means it's now 32 because there's an increment here, which was the next line down. So then having got to that line, we then need to do a couple more of these, and then I'll just need to change where these are read from. This is going to be read from 16 and this will be read from 24. Ow. And that's the shot XOR with screen should now be double the height, which it is, so that's quite nice. And so I actually have a shot drawing routine. So actually that turned out quite easy. Something's catching, is it? Right. So if I want to have multiple shots, which I do want to have multiple shots, then I need to set up a velocity. It's a bit like the sprite, isn't it? Thing is, do I really want to redo the code? Update sprites. I would need to recreate this for the shots. No, I could recreate this for the shots. There's a lot of recreating I have to do there. Oh, but it doesn't matter. Because that's the update and it's abstracted from the drawing. I've already done that. So I can use those for my shots. They can be just treated just the same as any sprite, right? Num sprites 11, num letters. You know, I'm going to say num letters, num ship, just it's extraneous, but num ship equal 1. Num shots equals, I've got to do a limited number of those. So how many do I need? Original design had 2 shots for the ship. Now I'm going to do 2 shots for the enemies, and I'm just thinking about whether, yeah, I may want to have more shots, but I'm going to start off with 4 shots is absolutely fine. So the number of number of sprites is the number of letters plus the number of ships plus the number of shots. And I can start putting some stuff that I should have done before. For example, I've hardwired that 10 in the code is where the ship is, because there are 10 letters first. So we're going to just do a ship index is equal 10. The letters index, in case I want to move them, is 0. And the shots index is equal num letters plus num ships, num ship. So let's have a look at where I'll just do a little bit of tidying up here. Wherever I have a 10, so that is for the 10 letters, this is num letters. Rand, compare with yeah, that's nothing to do, that's a different 10. And these 10s are the ship. So this is the ship. I thought I had made something called the ship index. Why didn't I? No, ship index. Yes. What ship index? I think it's because of the editing mode I'm in. Sprites plus ship index, and I need to I will look for the next 10. Yeah, that's a ship index, and this 10 is also a ship index. That one will be as well, and that. Kill ship, that's a ship index. Set the ship velocity. Okay. I need to sort out what the editing mode I'm in so that Emacs behaves in a more friendly way. sprites flags on the ship. So in fact, I've got a whole bunch here. So query replace +10 will be replaced with ship index. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, that was it. Let's see if things still work. It stops because I told it to stop for my sprite drawing routine. I'm just going to remove that halt that I put in. It's interesting that the change that I did is causing me to run out of oh no, I know why. I know why, because that flickering up there means I'm running out of drawing time. I only have a limited amount of time I can draw to the screen. That's because I added some sprites by just increasing the number of sprites here. But what we want to do is, and those sprites are being drawn using the slower, bigger routines. So okay, I need to put another num, because I'm counting a shot as a sprite. Num shots are 4. The num sprites should not include num shots. And I do num entities, which is going to be the number of sprites plus the number of shots. So the difference here, well, let's see what happens when I do that. First of all, I should get rid of that noise at the top, because yeah, now I'm not trying to draw too many sprites. What I wanted to retain though was that the integration, the update loop of the logic behind the sprites still happens even if the sprites are not being drawn. And so that would be the update sprites routine, where I use num sprites. Now I actually use num entities. So now it should be only drawing the same things it was drawing before, but behind the scenes it's actually moving 4 more objects, which will be the shots. Yep, that makes sense. So that routine was update sprites, which is called here. There's this move sprites routine, and then there's the draw sprites. Yeah, so move sprites. There's a draw sprites that happens after the VSync. The VSync happens here, and I draw the sprite straight after the VSync to avoid the noise on the screen. So when we saw the noise on the screen, this was taking too long. But now that is using num sprites, so it's not going to draw any of the shots. So I can just literally put in here a new routine that I have to write, which is going to be JSR draw shots. I have got inconsistent naming scheme, but never mind. I'll put it here. So we're going to make a routine called draw sprites, and that's going to do an RTS and the draw sprites routine. What am I doing there? My brain is wandering off. I'm a bit tired. So the draw sprites routine is not draw sprites I want to do now, it's draw shots. That's what's draw shots. We need to start with, by loading X with the num, it's actually shots index plus num shots minus 1. And then we'll do, say, ds draw shot dsh here for my loop. Draw shot, and then we're going to do a branch if plus dot dsh1. So then I've got a loop, and so for the loop I need to take the coordinate, yeah, so that test sprite that I drew, which you can still see in here, I need to basically get that to work in here. I'm definitely flagging. Loop. This thing. Oh, come on. There. So on the draw sprites routine, when I came to do that draw sprite 2 or draw sprite 1, I was using addresses 80 and 81, so I'll just do the same thing here. So if we do 80 and 81, but I need to calculate the address, and I calculate the address by using sprite address. And the draw, but that writes it into draw address 1. So the way I did sprite address is it actually writes the sprite address out into the high byte and the low byte. In this case, I really want to do it in line. Yeah, because normally it updates that and stores it with the sprite information, so that when it does the drawing and it pulls it out, puts into 0-page memory. And I kind of need a variant of this routine, really. But since it's a macro, I don't think there's anything really to be saved by me trying to be too clever about it. I'll just make a new one. I'll just call it shot address. For now, it's fine. The difference in this routine is that the only difference is this: out 16 or out 0. Oh, you know, there's a better way of me doing that. That's silly. That's the only thing that's being changed. I specify the out high and the out low. So out high and, well, let's do low first. Out low byte dot out high byte, and then I can just do this and put the 2 bytes for the address anywhere I like. This one here is the high byte, so instead of out plus 16, I do out h, and this is the low byte, so I do out low. Everything else there looks good. I just need to modify my calls to sprite address. So this would be draw address 1, draw address plus 16, and then it should be exactly the same. I don't think I have too many of these in the code, so here we do draw address 2 and draw address plus 16. So that's great, because then I can just put them anywhere I want them. That's it. That's pretty painless. So now I can do the same thing in my other routine, which I had here, because I need to calculate the address to draw this on the screen. Taking the sprite index, which will, this is from the sprite logic information, so the index I use will be these indices that you're getting from, I'm getting from the thing, so it's fine. It's already this x, it is the same x that I need there. So what I'm going to do is that the address is the address that I want to store the result. Just thinking about that address. So where I called this before. Sorry, where I called this before. It's just the, yeah, those, all those address, they're just temporary storage. So I can do the same thing here. Sprite address with 80. And that's the first parameter. The second parameter is going to be the address where I'm going to draw this thing. So the specification of this is it's going to draw in address 0 plus 1. So in this case 80 and 81. So I can use 82. So it becomes $82, $83. So now the address, so this is basically saying for the sprite that has index in the X register, use temporary bytes 80 and 81 to calculate the address that we need to write this to when we look at the X and Y coordinates of this sprite, and store the results in 82 and 83. So now 82 and 83 have the address that I need to, or I want to plot the sprite to, and that replaces all of that. And the final thing I need to do is to get the bottom 3 bits for the rotation of, you know, the sprite of those dots through the bytes in bits, but it's not a rotation, it's just a lookup. That was the change I did inside shot XOR with screen, as well as only drawing 2 lines. I could do a variant, therefore, of that, maybe that would allow for, you know, maybe even wider ones. Don't want to do it too much, though, because they... Oh, no, actually, they're not slow at all. The slowness of the other one from the rotation comes from the fact I can't afford to have all my sprites in lookup tables for the different positions, because there's not enough memory, or it'd use up too much memory. I don't have much. 6K of VRAM and 6K of program memory. Yeah, that's good. Something to think of later. So what I need to do is get the X coordinate of the sprite, and so that is done by doing load a sprites X high, comma X. So now in the accumulator I have the X coordinate of the sprite. I need to mask off all the bits except the bottom 3. There's then and 7. This gives me a number between 0 and 7. I need to put that in the X register. Where do I put that? It can't be in the X register. I'm using the X register for something else. X is the sprite instance. Now, this routine. X shift 0 to 7. Seriously? Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I need the X register somewhere in there, but I'm using it here as well. This was avoided by the buffering I think I did before when it came to the draw. So okay, I'm going to store X in $84 and transfer A to X, and then we draw shot XOR with screen, and then I have to load X $84, decrement X. Part of the one thing I need to think about is that I have to compare yeah, because I don't want it to go all the way to 0. I have to compare it with shots index. So I can load 84, compare that with shots index. So this will be subtracting shots index away from what my index is. So eventually that will get to 0. But it is doing a subtraction. If the index is above shots index, when it does the subtraction, there is no carry, and so, or no borrow, and so the carry flag will be set. The indication that we are no longer, you know, a 0 or above is when there is a borrow, and when there is a borrow, the carry flag will be clear. So I need to do branch if carry set. After I do the decrement, so it might actually make more sense for me to do decrement $84. Then I load it. So maybe it's better, or it's maybe not as optimized as it might be, but I don't know. Decrement 84, load the new value that I have, for which was the X that was saved. I load that back into the accumulator. I compare it with the shot index. If the carry flag is clear, we're done. So if the carry flag is set, we're not. So we do branch if carry set dot DSH1, then RTS. I'm just going to check that again. So drawing the shots, I have to start with the shots index plus the number of shots minus 1. So that's the last of the shots, because I'm following the pattern of drawing them backwards. I do the sprite address. I'm going to use 8081 for the temporary work that this does, and it's going to put, I'm asking it to put the results in 82 and 83. Then I load the X coordinate of the sprite. I mask off the bottom 3 bits, and I save X in 84. I transfer A to X, that's the rotation bit, or the bottom 3 bits is put into X. So then I do the shot XOR with screen with E0, which is wrong because it should now be 80, because no, 82, because that's where I asked the result to be put in up there, so that was one mistake. The mask for the shots is shot bits. When we're done, we decrement 84, which is the same thing as decrementing the X register, but I need to see if we're done. So I load the accumulator with the new value of what will be X. I compare it with shots index, and if it is not done, it means that the X is equal to shot index or greater. Then when I subtract shot index, I will get a borrow only when we're done, and so if we don't have a borrow, the carry flag is set because it's a reverse sense to the addition. That looks correct to me. Oh, right. What do I do now? Yeah, now I just call draw shots and hope nothing crashes. That's what I do. And where do I do that? Probably update sprites on the vsync. Draw sprites. I already did it. Draw shots. It's already in the right place. Draw shots. Let's see if it builds first of all. No. Okay. 915. What are you complaining about here? Well, okay, this one is a macro, so I need to put a plus in there. Okay. Oh, really? That was it? And now we have an interesting situation. We can see a pretty pattern on the screen scrolling in an enticing way, as though the ACORN atom had hardware scrolling. What's actually happening is it's got stuck in an infinite loop, and it's writing to the screen at the same time that it's stuck into the infinite loop. And then you're seeing the conflict between the CPU and the graphics, the VDU, visual display unit, old-fashioned term for it. So, and it's like you're probably seeing it sort of jump around because you don't actually see it the same way that I do. For my screen here is perfectly smooth, drifting up like this. I'm stuck in an infinite loop. Do you know why? Can you see why? Anybody spot the problem? Any of the huge crowd of people watching this, watching some 6502 programming? There's 2 of you, allegedly. There's no interaction That's the fuel keeps me going. I can see it. Can you see it? What have I done wrong? It's stuck in a loop. See, well, I'll talk it through it again. I am loading the X register because you see we've got an A register, an X register and a Y register. So I'm loading the X register with the last of the shots. So it's just a number. The last of the shots might be at index 22. And then I'm calculating the address. And let's say that works because it probably is. And then I'm also getting the shift. So that's the bottom 3 bits. I store it in 84. I store X in 84. Now we're getting warmer to the problem. I transfer A to X so that this routine can use the bottom, the 3 bits in the X register to do its work. And then I decrement 84 because the index is going to be 1 less because I start at the end and I work back, and I need to work back until it is shot index, which is great. And then I say branch back here, where it then proceeds to do the same thing and store the value of X. What did I do wrong? I didn't modify the value of X. So it is going to go around forever. Or whatever, it's going to use whatever value of X came back from this routine. So what I actually have to do is, oh, that's annoying because then I have to do a branch. I need to put the value back into the X register. So maybe I know. I'm just going to put a tax here. Transfer A to X. So now what happens is I decrement that count. I load it into the accumulator. I transfer it into the X register in case we're going to use it, which we will unless we're done. And then compare with shot index and we're not finished. So I'm putting the count back into the X register. That should be it. Let's see. Yeah, so things are back to normal now. I want that shooting to work. We're not quite there yet. There's a bit of work to do, but it's running my shots routine, but we aren't seeing any shots. But what I could do is now add some more here. Let's see, some more stuff here. I'll make this a bit smaller. So these are all the sprites for which there be 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think it's 16. Now, what am I using those sprites for? I've got 10 ships, 10 letters. I've got 1 ship. So that's 11. And then I'm going to have 1 enemy, so that's 12, and 4 shots, so that makes 16. I think the way I've set it up, I could have more if I needed them, but the top 4 are going to be. I'm going to, well, it's not the top 4 yet because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the ship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then the ship. And then something's not quite right. 1. Can I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in total. We have 10 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then a ship. It's this shirt that's annoying my feet. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I miscounted. Doesn't matter. So the first sprite index, let's just make sure this is right. First sprite index is the shots index. I mean, it's the number of letters plus num ship. So that would be sprite number 11, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But numbered from 0. 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It would be that one. So let's just see what happens if I put this in the middle of the screen. Yeah. So that would be 128. I need to put it in the high byte. Vertical high is 100. No, the horizontal. Oh, no, those are the velocities. Ah, I really am getting tired now. Try again. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's this. Okay, so the x coordinate is going to be 128. The y coordinate is going to be 96, which is probably... Something's bothering me with this. Let me align these up because it doesn't match. I realised I was putting it where the ship is, which is fine for this test. But then in that case, zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The ship would be the one that's before it. Oh, I think I set the start position of the ship elsewhere. I do, so it doesn't matter what that is. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to put a shot right where the ship starts. 128, 96. That should be enough for me to see the shot already. But it's not appearing. Unless that's because it's actually, I didn't draw it initially and then the exclusive or plotting could mean it might be being drawn, but because I didn't draw it initially, it's actually drawing and clearing in the same frame every time and then you don't see it at all. Might be because I forgot to do something, which is... where's my main loop gone? Where are you? I need to make it, I need to split this into files. Yeah, I can't find the main loop anymore. There it is. Definitely time to split it up. Maybe I'll do that next episode. So, draw shots, you see. What needs to happen in the main loop before the main loop is we need to draw the shots once. Alas, that was not the cause of the problem. Well, what I'm going to do is do a jump halt here, just to keep things clear. And that was the initial draw. Weird that the ship is in that odd orientation right at the start. How odd. Now, I'm not going to dwell on that just yet. I think what I'm going to do is take that and put it After I initial velocities, initial letter position loop. Maybe I can put it here. Draw the shots and halt. See what happens. Here on there, draw shots and halt. And we don't see any shots, which is fine, except that I need to fix it. So let's go and take a look at what happened. How do we debug this when we don't have a debugger, when we don't even have the ability to print logs? You have to do the old classic, let's hardwire stuff and see what happens. So I'm going to start with hardwiring the address where I'm writing this. That's fair enough, isn't it? So we do load A immediate 0, store A in $82, so that's the low address in video memory where we're going to write this, and then I need to load immediate $8, let's say 300. Let's do that. It'll be down the screen a bit. Oh, no, not 300. Okay, it's only 8-bit processor. Store A in $83. I have hardwired here. If the thing appears... Okay, I just realized that there's another problem. If the sprites are being drawn on top of each other, I had multiple sprites, they could cancel each other out. We'd end up not seeing them. Thus... Numshots 1. Ha ha ha, got ya. yeah, there it is. It plotted it. The reason it didn't plot it before when I said numshots 4 is it plotted 4. You plot 4 of them, plot it the first time, it appears. Plot it again, it disappears. You do that again, it appears. The 4th time, if I plotted it 3 times, it would appear. Yeah. Let's work with only one sprite until one shot, until we've got shots working. Good idea. I'm sure that's not the only problem that existed there. So we're hardwiring that. I'm just marking it here like this. That was a hardwiring that we had there. Now, if I take that hardwiring out, I wonder what will happen. I'm not impressed. Are you impressed? I'm not impressed at all. I mean, it's just like it ignored me. I don't like that. I changed that and it's ignoring me. I should be used to being ignored by now. Somehow I never get used to being ignored. It's a funny old game. But let's try 128 in the low address. No, it's not moving. When things don't make sense, what you do is you strive to get to a point where something makes sense. So in this case, it's just put on RTS at the top of draw shots, and I should not see any shots. Okay, at least that makes sense. So we move on from there. It feels like no matter what I do, the XOR shot with screen seems to insist on writing to the same memory every time. I'm going to put an RTS right here because it doesn't make sense. This, yeah, it draws it, it quits, so there's not going to be any confusion from anything else. All right, and it draws just one. Okay. The shot XOR with screen, there must be a buggeroony in there. What have I done wrong? If we look at the shot XOR with screen, it shot bits and also right, so 2, that's 82 in this case. It's the address that it should be reading from memory, from video memory, and 2 video memory should be in shot XOR with screen. And I'm looking at that and going, okay, I hardwired 82 and 83, and you did not seem to be the slightest bit interested. It's got me a bit stuck. Okay, we can try something else. A desperate move. I'm going to just put this to some random other thing. It could write over any memory. I don't care. It's got to change something. Yes, thank you. It did change something. That was nice. Only marginally helping me, but it means that somehow gets through to the routine. Okay, there's something I'm not seeing. So what we can do is just go to the draw shots routine and I tried using, there's assembler mode in Emacs, but it doesn't like this, the syntax of this particular assembler particularly well. Okay, I mean, I'm just doing this and I'm doing an RTS. I mean, you know, could it be any simpler than that, really? And it doesn't appear at all, which was not what I expected. Okay. High byte is 83 in hex, the lower byte is 128, or if I do it in hex, it's 80. Draw shots. This is not making any sense at all. So what I'm going to try to do now is load A with immediate -1, because again I'm looking for something that makes sense. None of this is making sense right now. I'm going to write something directly into address 8380. That's the address that you see down there, and then do an RTS. And what should happen now is I should get something on the screen. There it is. So that is where I seem to be asking for the sprite to appear. Oh, I know what I've done wrong. Oh, I fell into that trap. The width of the screen is 256 pixels, not 256 bytes. So I actually did redraw it, but it was almost in the same place. And that's a silly mistake. Okay, so what I means is I need to move it across the screen a bit. I just need to add 16 instead of, there we are, 16. And then I think we're back to things making sense again. There we are, it's in the middle of the screen. Great. So that's all looking good. And then if I remove my hard wiring, the calculation has ended up putting it in the center of the screen, but up here. Now we look at what the sprite, well, we have the sprite address. Yeah. I need you to look at the sprite here is 128,96. Well, let's see if I change this to 0, does it move over to the left-hand side of the screen? No. It doesn't seem to be too interested in what these values are, which might be because the index is wrong. So let's go back to the index and check that. The first shot is on shots index is the number of letters plus, which is 10, plus the number of ships, which is 11. The index is 11. It should be numbered from 0. Zero, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. What do we do now? So we draw the shots here. I'm looking at yeah, because num shots is going to be 1, so num shots minus 1 is 0, so it just loads X with the shots index. All right, well, okay, let me try some more hard wiring stuff. I will try and put this dot in the center of the screen first of all. Actually, I will load the X register with 128 and store it in sprites X, the high byte of the X coordinate of the sprites. So I'm going to actually literally write into the sprites. And YH, where I'm going to put in there 96. Doesn't want to go into the middle of the screen, does it? Does not want to go into the middle of the screen. Load A with 128, store it. Okay, well, can I move it at all here? Even a bit? Did that move? No. It's not moving, and that is really annoying. Why? So if I set the address manually, it was fine, but if I so there's something wrong with this sprite address then. Let's take a look at that again. Load sprite, address plus 0, address plus 1. There we go. Store it in out high. Alright. Store it into the low byte. And that is very odd. write it into 82, and it uses that in here, 82 and 83 in these twos. That's got me completely stumped. I'm going to try loading it with 0. So this would be the letter A. And now I get 2 dots, which is also strange. I get a dot in the middle of the screen, and I get a second dot somewhere else. Oh, I know why that is. It's because I'm upset the whole... I need to return as soon as I've drawn one, because that whole loop is now broken. Oh, I did that in the wrong place because it hasn't drawn it yet. After it draws it, so then we'll only get one. So if I do that, it's fine. So what I'm doing is changing the index that it's the letter A sprite that I'm using instead of the shot, and then it works, which means I'm probably overwriting some memory or something. That is very odd though. Hey McCann, how you doing? I used to stream on Switch a long time ago, but I found that the problem with streaming on Twitch is that well, I found that the user, maybe things have improved, but the tools and so on, they would annoy me. And then there's the fact that, you know, I've got content on YouTube, and everything I do, I want to be able to sort of do with like cross-promotion sort of thing to try and improve. I mean, I've never made any money from any platform. I think I made $10 on Quora, and then I didn't fill in some administrative thing and then lost the $10. I might have made about $10 on Twitch technically, but I never saw the money. It's like, what? I don't know. You think it would help? How are Twitch these days with promoting your channel? Because that's the other thing, is that all these social media platforms, they don't really like you to use the social media platform to promote yourself, even though that's supposed to be part of the purpose of it. It's like I post a link on Twitter to say, hey, I've got a new YouTube video, and Twitter goes, meh. Algorithm goes, yeah, you're sending people away from our platform. I'm not. So I don't know. I think in the end I decided it was better just to stick to one thing, one place. I hardly use anything else. And I post on Twitter and on LinkedIn and on Facebook, but the only thing I use those for really is just say, I've got another video. Yeah, it's possible. I might give it a go again. I don't know, but I've been doing this for a very long time, and one of the problems that you get is that everybody sees the people who are successful. They're the ones who come across in your stream, right? But what people don't get is that there are tons of people like me who have been doing the social media thing for a long time. I've been on YouTube since 2006, and not always putting out lots of videos all the time, but if you look at my videos, I have them going back to like 2006, and it's a mugs game. The whole thing is a mugs game. I'm not really doing it to... I'm interested to see if I can just sort of slowly increase the people who are interested in the things I do. But there's an experiment more than anything else. You know, it doesn't matter which platform it is. You can get to a certain point and then suddenly you won't get any further unless you are lucky, you know. And unless you play the game. Exactly, you have to play the game. I don't play the game. If people are looking for something that is genuine, they can come here. But I don't know how many people are looking for something genuine. But I'm not really saying to people, you know, like and subscribe. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm not going to say, hey, you all make this possible. I've been doing this game for a long time, and what I do is I do me, and otherwise there's no point in it. And when you look at YouTube channels that have been successful, they last for usually a few years, and then there's a certain point where they'll just end. It's like you can have your YouTube success for a few years and then bye-bye. And I would argue that that is the case when you are playing the game. But if you don't play the game, then if you get lucky, you can have, because you need some luck as well, if you get lucky, you can then have something that will last. So there are certain players in the space that I do respect. The ones I like are the ones who they may have a format. There's a certain style to what they do, but it's them. And I particularly like it when people don't keep saying like and subscribe. Those ones, although there's few. I mean, basically, the less you say it, the less someone says it, the more I like them. But to be honest, I think they all do. I don't know. I was just thinking of Mr. Carlson's Lab, but he does say it right at the end of the video. But I think that's okay. I don't know. Do people need to be reminded of it? Oh, do smash that like button. Do turn on the bell. It's like, well, you're not all adults. If you're interested, you know about the button. Do I, you know? So there's part of me just doesn't want to do that. And I almost want to tell people not to do not subscribe. Do not follow me. Do not do that. It's like, why? Why would I say that? It's because of ant mills. Go and look up ant mills. We follow trails of popularity far too much, and this is very, very dangerous, because you end up with what an ant mill is a bunch of ants, a whole group of ants that are all following their pheromone trails in a circle. It's a kind of ant psychosis, because ants just follow trails with a probability changing direction, probably. And if they get into this state where they're just doing this, they just keep doing that until they die of thirst or exhaustion or, you know, starvation. Literally, they can't break out of it. And we as human beings are going to do the same thing. I think we're already heading that way. If we're not careful, we end up with the only thing that matters are things that are popular. The only people you see are the popular people. The only things that we think are the popular thoughts. And that's kind of dangerous. It's kind of paradox as well. Yeah, I hear you. You might be right, but on the other hand, it's ropey interfaces. At least it was. Maybe it's improved. Why did I end up back on? Why did I end up back on YouTube? I think I ended up on Switch before because I was on YouTube and I got a strike against my channel for deceptive videos or something, and I wasn't able to broadcast or put any content up for about a week. I don't know why that happened. They removed it because it was nonsense. But in that time, I then went to Twitch. And so I did that for a while. And it kind of built up. I think the best I did before, you know, but I was streaming every night and streaming for hours. And I think I got up to a record organically was probably about 14 after about a year. It's a lot of work. Yeah, but that's it. But you've got to, you know, with FIFA as an example, you've got to realise that it's engineered that way. The whole thing is engineered that way. Also not popular because the algorithm weeds me out. Because I am, by very nature, somebody who goes off the trail. The thing about ants is that if you imagine that all the ants did was perfectly follow the popular trails, and that's all that they did, they wouldn't exist, they would die out. Because then everybody follows the popular trail until the food that exists through the popular trail disappears, and then what do you do? So there's a certain percentage of the ant population, I'd love to do research into this, either it can happen to any ant, or there may be some ants that are more predisposed to this or not. They're adventurous. And I really think this is applicable to human beings. They are the adventurous ones. And what the adventurous ones do is they don't follow the trail. And that's me. That's what I am. I am one of those adventuring ants. Which is why I often find myself a little bit on the outside of things. Because I put myself there. Because it's more interesting than being where everybody's following each other all the time. And it means that I have the ability to see those trails and identify where things are stuck. But what it means is that I work in a domain that is totally not served at all by algorithms. And this happened with the football games too. The success of Kickoff and Kickoff 2 and all of that was born out of me being me. There wasn't anything in it other than I was being me, and I have a talent, obviously, for game design and for engineering. I think it'd be stupid to suggest that I didn't have a talent for it, although that has been suggested to my face. That's why I'm coming face to face with an ant that loves to follow trails, and obviously I don't. And that's how I had that success, because I was lucky, but also I went off trail. So that therefore able to innovate. And that's me. But this is part of the danger of the algorithm-driven society. How can you innovate? How could the next big thing? If I had an idea of a game, you know, it's like I could do it. The game. I've got plenty of ideas for games. I'll never make them, because if I do make them, I can't make them with the idea that they're going to be successful. I can't, because they're probably not going to be successful, because the success, if you want to do that kind of success, you have to create something and get lucky. And if you're really lucky or unfortunate, you manage to do that with something off the trail. So I think that's probably what happened with me, is I managed somehow. I didn't manage, it just happened. It was a success that came from something off the trail, probably because I had a really, really low-level publisher. If I had been working for a major publisher, it would never have happened. They wouldn't have allowed it to happen. You can't have one guy. I mean, like, for pity's sake, I made game that got to the top of the charts and was beating Ubisoft's games. Think about this a minute. It's like, you know, it's like one guy is beating the whole of Ubisoft. They're never going to let that happen again. And if I was working in Ubisoft, they would never let it happen there either. You've got to have your game with your big budget and with your, you can't do that kind of thing, right? It's all like algorithms. Everybody follows the same pattern, the same trail. The ideas, preconceptions all exist. And, you know, that's basically why I don't do video games anymore. I mean, I tried, as an indie game developer, I tried with Kickoff Revival, and look what happened. It's like, oh, hello everybody, look, let's get into this thing, okay? You know, it's like, I'm going to come back and try to carry on from where I left off. It's like, no you don't. Don't even think of it. Yeah. So, yeah, no problem. Take care, mate. Anyway, I was trying to figure out a thing here, but to be honest, it's getting late, and I'm pretty much done for today. So thanks a lot for that chat. It was very interesting. You got me ranting again, you know, the rant. But I'm going to call it a night. Thanks for watching. Take care. I may be back again tomorrow.